thing.
Has any new equipment come yet, or?
2 pieces are up, and then we have 1 piece that apparently has got a piece that's stuck overseas.
No?
The 1 piece that came from everything else was like made in Wisconsin or
Did
something.
we already buy it, so
We
it won't be
had
a
one
tariff on
net,
it? Yeah.
and it's stuck somewhere. So, a little, they don't think it's gonna be a big deal, but.
Is playground equipment exempt from tariffs?
Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
We're alive.
All right, good morning. It is 9 a.m. Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Public Services and Facilities Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and the public have been duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Starting off, citizens' comments. And then,
Do roll call?
let's see, we have approval of previous meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Marina tenant comments.
We did notify the tenants that we would start adding this. We talked about it last month, that would just start adding this as a placeholder if they wanted to come. They were appreciative of it. I didn't have a need at this point, but I think if you all are agreeable to it, we'll just leave it on and they can come when the need arises.
I wonder if we should at least once or twice make an official invitation to them.
Actually, request that they do come.
I mean, I think it would be, I wouldn't want to ask them to come every month, but I do think that it would be helpful every now and then to,
Like once a quarter?
yeah, something like that. Or at
And then
least,
they can-
or maybe just, let's invite them to either the next or the one after, depending on which is more convenient to their schedules, and then we can at least have a conversation to see what they would like to do, if it's something that they're I mean,
So just kind of a state of affairs in their organizations?
Yeah.
And just kind of come, have some comments about how things are going, what they see as challenges and
yeah, if there's anything that they need,
if they need from
want,
us or,
things that
we
we
need
want
from
from
them.
them.
And with the season coming upon us, if they got any plans to do anything, then, yeah, they can
Yeah.
let us know.
I think they'd be happy to do that. You want to do it in May or June?
Let's shoot for May
Okay.
and see if they, if they say they absolutely can't do May, then we could do June.
Okay.
Um,
They seemed, in their responses, kind of indicate all is well.
yeah.
Great.
Or what?
I mean, I do think there's some things that we should, I mean, the docks, we haven't talked really about that in a while.
Yeah.
The T-dock,
Yeah,
the dumpsters, I mean, those just pop into my head
yeah.
without, and I know now that the public dock is open,
Well, the new parking on 41st.
and then, yeah, once, that project's been bigger than I expected.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Me
lot of
too,
dirt.
Yeah. So, and I was gonna bring it up in miscellaneous business, but we could talk about it now. This group talked through and came to a recommendation on the parking layout at the marina. Got up to council, they've kind of pushed it down the road a bit again. Do you all think that, and Katie, we just exchanged a note about it. I mean, are we at a point in y'all's mind to have Matt and the restaurant tenants at the workshop to just talk through where we are with that? It seems like this committee and the council as a whole had kind of differences and ideas came up when at full council. Do you all think it would be good at this point to work through that, at least have the discussion at the workshop, or do you want
I mean,
Pause
maybe
on
try
it.
to do that in May also, at this meeting.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be overly productive until we can get some kind of concurrence and maybe a little deeper. I mean, I don't know how you feel, Katie, but I don't know that would be all that productive at the workshop. Right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I think we're still
I think your idea
going
May would be good to have. May
around and around in the
to
same.
May hear the design, or the
If they want to
tenants?
talk about it, yeah.
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 I mean, it seemed to me as though this group was agreeable to the final plan. And
But
just,
then
and then
at the-
members of council weren't, so I don't know if this group feel like you will need to work more on it, or, I mean, I guess I felt like you all kind of got to a point where you were happy with the plan. I do know Jan had very specific kind of,
Yeah, and
and I
that's-
have her comments, and,
And I mean, I'm happy to have Klein say it again, but we've already tried that
Kind of been
option.
through that option.
And-
Well, maybe, yeah, maybe.
But I think it would be, I think it'd be better to have, if we're gonna have, and I don't even know, I haven't asked the restaurant if they want to participate, but I think it'd be better to have them in this setting first before we go to.
And would it be
so maybe
helpful
we do
to-
that, maybe we just have this kind of meeting with them in May. We just ask them the question, do you all want to work through kind of an additional option with the full council and Matt? See what their kind of preference is. Just have that dialogue with them first.
And should we have Matt here for that, for the May, if we're gonna have the conversation here, maybe it would be even helpful to have Matt here because he can kind of explain objectively as from the engineering perspective, the puts and takes of why we're doing, or why the recommendation is the way
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I don't know, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
He seems
I
to.
feel like this
He'll give it-
committee
he'll give-
is comfortable
Yeah.
with it, but and I guess I'm thinking that Matt's insight would be useful for the full group, but I think we could do it here and there if you all wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt to have him.
Okay. Okay,
If we can get all that scheduled for,
and then potentially.
The next meeting.
So potentially the May workshop, if everybody's agreeable at your May.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll see how that goes from there.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, it might even, if the marina operator is here for our meeting next month, they may have something to share
Yeah.
also. Because
Yeah.
there has been some talk,
Okay,
it's like the dumpster and stuff like that.
very good.
Could be successful.
Yep. Ever hopeful.
All right, so, discussion of the public dock policies. So we've got the nice signs on the water, coming from the water, making it very clear. No docking, no mooring, significant fine for docking, mooring, loading, unloading. Do we think, I know we discussed last time the idea that, somebody carrying a cooler to a boat could get hit with that fine? I mean, should we try to make it more clear that it's commercial rather than residential, or recreational is excluded? So, I don't know, I'm a little,
Yeah, I think we, and kind of thinking through being concise in language and knowing that we wouldn't really have a problem if a cooler got on, but we might have a problem if, a window unit came on, you start really kind of slicing that up. And I think that we felt like you start creating gray, it's just inviting,
people to push the envelope.
people to push the envelope, and instead of that, it's just having no mooring, no loading. So technically, if you were a real rule player, you would read that sign and say, I have a cooler, I need to go to the public dock, or I need to go to one of the marina
Marina
docks and
dock.
step on at that location. I think we felt like that was, to avoid that gray and avoid people kind of saying, oh, we thought if you could do a cooler, we thought this is a room cooler and it would be,
Air conditioning unit.
yeah, and to just avoid confusion, that would just be the easiest, of just don't do it.
I think that's a good place to start. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And clearly, if somebody hops down with a cooler, we're not gonna enforce anything on them or. you know,
Timing,
Yeah. we would-
as a, it would be hard to have that happen anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
And I think these are, so what is in your packet, just a short list, these were, this is the verbiage from a sign, and that sign may have gotten changed out, the kind of, you can do this, you can't do that, sign, did that go away
No, that is at the.
at the entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
That's at the entrance, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good, that's a good sign, yeah. I've seen that sign, yeah.
It's a little bit unique for us. It's very, it's trying to have a positive vibe as opposed to
Yeah.
the red signs at the end of the dock, which are, don't do this or you'll get fined.
No, it's a welcoming.
More of a welcoming
sign
sign.
with some guidelines that seem pretty reasonable when you
Yeah.
read it, I thought. Now, do we, and this is a little off the track on this one, do we have any diagrams or anything? I know Susan's working on that nature signage.
Yep.
And at one point, we were talking about, I don't know, there were a lot of signs. I don't know where that sits, or is there any kind of schematic or just a diagram that we could even look at to?
Yeah, so so that project is being kind of worked through with the Environmental Advisory
Okay.
Committee. Susan and Laura Lovins on that group are working through a program. They have been working with Kirby. I will say the number of signs has been brought down significantly. A handful, I want to say 3 or 4 on the boardwalk, and I think it's 3, maybe 4 on the dock itself. Kind of smaller, the type that.
Kind of on the rail thing?
Yeah, or kind of
Look
cantilever.
over and, see, yeah.
Yeah. So they're working through that project. Once they have kind of a final product that would come, I was planning for it to go through the workshop and council. Could certainly come back to this committee if you will.
I wouldn't mind
prefer
seeing
that.
kind of what it looks like, and I don't know if they're ready in May, even if it's just a mock-up or something. I don't know about you.
Yeah, we have an updated schematic now. We could provide that.
Okay.
So I think they're getting pretty close, but yeah, we can put that on your May agenda as well. What's the interpretive signs? What have we been calling that? Interpretive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them on a couple of other docks. They're pretty, they can be pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on that?
No.
Have we had any issues since?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if you all have been,
No.
anything reported?
Good. Cool. All right. Okay, so consideration to purchase Office 365 migration for $35,000 one-time service and $29,000 annually. This was in the budget general fund for $30,000. So it's already, $30,000 was already budgeted, is that?
That's correct, yeah, 30,000, and this is something that's been on our plates for a while. It's in the budget this year. It did come in slightly above budget. You all looked at this last month, and there was, and Scott brought up the amount of the recurring services was obviously significant over time. So we have been working with VC3 to kind of fully understand what that amount included. They did, as a result of this, scale back the version of Microsoft Office that they were including. And I think that's very similar to what we have now, what they're proposing. The other part of this that we've been kind of unraveling is the number of machines within the city that actually have Microsoft Office. Their initial quote included really every machine in the office getting, every machine in the city getting Office, which, as we work through it, we don't need. So the number of Office licenses has come down, and the level of Office has also been reduced down. I still don't have an actual quote from VC3 for this. We've been going back and forth, and in your packet is a memo that includes the costs as well as there was a inventory of what we have now in the packet. We're still waiting for it to be presented in a proposal from them, but we think, we understand that these costs will be what that proposal will include. So $35,435 one time, and then $2,425 monthly going forward.
So that's after we've made cuts or
Yes,
the decreases.
that's correct.
35 is the number.
That's
we think-
correct.
That we think it will be.
And that number didn't come down, that one-time number, it was really, the monthly recurring was $47.80. That number's come down to.
If the install is,
$24.25.
if the inventory's been cut quite a bit, is there a reason that the install didn't get cut? If they're doing it basically, what I understood was machine by machine, or, I mean, is that something we can ask them to?
Yeah, and so they are, and we've been.
Seemed, it didn't seem too high, but I'm just
Yeah.
wondering the correlation there.
They indicate that a large part of what the one-time fee is covering is the migration of each email address. So every IOP.net email, that has to be migrated across, and that is the bulk of that $35,435 cost. We are also, we're also trying to cull that number down. That's like 140.
Did we go out for bid on any of this?
No. Well, we initially did with VC3.
That was years ago?
Yeah,
Okay. Can I ask just a couple questions?
sure.
We were talking a little bit before about the inventory. I'm not sure what's where. We don't have a complete inventory and who's maintaining the inventory of our devices and things of that nature. One thing I do have a little bit of a concern about, if that's sort of the case and we're not sure who's doing what, the last time we migrated or tried to do something, didn't we have an event a few years ago with email where we lost like 3 years of email?
Well, we had a ransomware issue that really led to us transitioning to VC3. I think that's now been,
I think a while back,
6,
a
7.
while back, if I recall, I remember there was, it was in all the public information and meetings, but I think there was a loss of records. And I don't know if it was because of a migration or loss of email.
oh, we had a server, we
That
did have a
crashed.
server crash, yes.
And then we lost, we kind of lost everything.
Yes.
I guess, before we go forward with any of this, I really would like to see, what is the plan to make sure that we're going to not only back up, retain, archive, protect, whatever, when you do an email migration, things can, I don't know what platform to what platform, but we want to make sure that we've got a rock solid plan on retention and who's doing what. The other thing, and we talked a little bit about this, Douglas, I think in the budget now, we're spending roughly $600,000 on just the IT services, and a few years ago, it was relatively negligible. And I think it has to do with all of our software, all of our hardware. I think we've equipped the public safety, public services teams with a bunch of software capability, and I think the rec center's got some online capabilities. I think it would be good for us to get kind of an inventory of all that, and if we haven't put anything out to bid for a lot of years, we might want to look at that, plus all of our telecom, our capacity that we have. I think we're outsourcing that to a third party as well, and take a look at where we might be able to either go out for bid or look at some efficiencies, because the price compression on IT services and telecom is extraordinary as far as how fast the capacity, you get more capacity for a lot less money. And then I think we're also looking at a refresh. I know this is a lot I'm throwing at you, but we got a refresh of the laptops and everything. That's a capital expense that we're going to need to address. I just think we really got to get our hands around this, not just the 600 in the IT, but also the where it is, what it is, and the hardware and the telecom services, because that might be an area where we might be able to find some money without any increases in going for revenues or things of that nature. So this could be a cost initiative that we might be able to take a look at.
Yeah, I'll
So
just say.
I'm happy to work offline a little bit with you guys and see what we can.
This building, as an example of that, this building had the same phone provider for 20 years. It started acting up, so we went through a pretty exhaustive effort to change out the phones, and it has ended up to be a very good change for us in terms of service and cost. Public safety facility is having the same issue now. They're kind of having the same pains we had last year, this year. So they're in that transition now of trying to migrate away from the current service into a new service. So we can certainly kind of provide a snapshot of that, of where everything's going. As we talked about, we are also trying to get an inventory on the number of machines that we have that are running Windows 10 in anticipation of getting those up to Windows 11 to being secure. So we're working through that and would be happy to provide, in everything that we have that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if we had an inventory, when it got put in and the last time it got refreshed and the amount of money, put that on a schedule. And if I figure out who's on roles and responsibilities, who's responsible for it. Because if they don't have our inventory and we don't have our inventory, we need to get an inventory.
Yeah, we're both about to have an inventory.
We're about to do it.
We're working on it now, but yeah, there was a point where I think we both thought the other was keeping track of that.
On this, I had another question too, on this annual, is this a commitment contract, like we're having to sign up for 5 years or something?
The $2,400.
The
The $2,400 a month?
Yeah.
That's all Microsoft subscription costs.
Okay, so
that
that's
they're
not,
passing.
we're not
That's
signing
the
up with
VC.
VC.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Correct.
Good, okay.
So do we need to do anything on this? Do we need to make a recommendation, or?
I don't think, this is not terribly time critical, so we can continue to, continue to refine it, get this in a place where we're more comfortable with it. So I don't think
Get a
it's.
little bit more information.
Yeah, I don't think it's time critical. This has
Okay.
been a project on our back burner for well over a year, so we're not in a huge rush for this
Okay.
part of it.
All right, pickleball court lights, $65,000. Hospitality fund, 25, so that would be 25 of the 65 would be from the hospitality fund?
Yes, and we did, that is the total of what we budgeted for these lights, so they are coming in higher than we thought.
Where will the rest of that money come from?
So I was recommending the rest of the money come from the recreation building fund. Since the playground was fortunate enough for some of those funds to be played by the ARPA funds, it would leave some of that money that was allocated to the playground, hopefully for this project.
Is this something, I thought the last time we talked about this, we kind of talked about the fact that the tennis courts had lights and we could kind of survive without pickleball lights for.
So that is an option. I'm still getting asked about pickleball lights frequently. And also, if we do the tennis renovation, sorry, we will have, I don't know what just happened. So when if the tennis court renovation happens, then we will be down tennis courts and night pickleball play as
During
well. During those months that would happen. Both ball facilities get a lot of play. Our tennis program is popular, our pickleball program is popular. So it would be nice that they don't have to share, that use. They're busy all the time. There have been conflicts between the two groups and who gets to use what.
Are there lights on the basketball?
There are lights on the basketball court. So
Okay.
the company that I'm recommending, Musco, they actually installed and operate all of the outdoor athletic lights that we have currently. So basketball, tennis, softball, and baseball were all installed in 2012, They're warranted till 2037, which means we're hands-off. They've replaced lights. It cost us nothing. The soccer lights were the next project in 2016. Again, 25-year warranty. And this would be the same thing for the pickleball lights. It's projected 2 lights for the courts, still 25-year warranty. There will be a timer. And they monitor these lights for us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They email me and let me know if there's a surge or something's not working, and then they send an electrician out to fix it. So
Carrie,
it's-
this might be a typo. The quote says 60,000, the thing says 65 here.
I think it's just a typo.
It says it's 60?
So it should be the 6650, and there could be other little expenses where we would have to go with, Dominion to make sure the electric lines and stuff, and we would have to pay for that. So it's probably not bad that we budget 65. So it would be 3540 out of the recreation building fund. Still, the 25 is what's budgeted to make the project happen now.
Would it be too much to ask them to, it just sounds like it's a sole source didn't go out for bid either, but they're currently doing most of our work now.
Correct.
Is it possible to ask them to itemize what's in the 60, 65? I see the list of the verbiage, but it doesn't say like, hey, what kind, are we getting 8 poles, 6 poles, what kind of lighting? Unless I missed it.
So it's 2 poles,
Only
30-foot
only two
poles.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm sure that 5-1 means something, but I will find out.
Could they itemize this out for us and
Okay.
price it? Because I think that might be helpful to get some visibility into how
Okay.
much we're paying for the hardware, how much we're paying for the labor, how much we're paying for the install,
Okay.
and anything ongoing.
I can.
So if we went forward with this, we have the money already in the budget for.
So the 25 was budgeted for this year, for the project to happen. And then, like I said, I was just, when I found out the playground was using the ARPA funds, we should have the money in the recreation building fund as well.
Okay.
For the remaining
Okay.
overage.
All right, so do we,
So I'm just curious, so the budget, so this will be, we're going into kind of a savings account to get to the, it's not in the operating budget, we're pulling it out of a ARPA fund balance or something?
For the playground equipment.
Yeah, for the extra,
Playground
for the
equipment.
extra 40, no, for the extra 40 here. Looks like we're 40 short, roughly.
Yes, and that 40 would come out of your building
The recreation building fund,
fund.
which is a fund that we've used in the past to help with projects that are strictly related to recreation. They helped with the building of the pickleball courts and basketball courts when we did those in '23. I think in the past, they've helped pay when we did these lights installs. It's a fund that, that we have where people earmark money for recreation only.
One other question, how late will this'll have the pickleball go into the evenings and early mornings? Is this, I'm just thinking about the,
So they're on a timer?
The neighborhoods.
Right, correct. So we're on a timer. And so right now, we say 10 o'clock, so the lights would turn off no matter what at 10 o'clock. If we find out that that's an issue with our neighbors, maybe we back this down to 9 o'clock, but we can set that, and people can't show up and turn the lights on.
for like basketball and tennis?
But
right
basketball
now,
and tennis
it's nine
right now,
or
it's 10.
okay.
So, but, I mean, overall, we have the controls where those lights, we say when we can turn them on and turn them off with the program, and they help us with that.
Cool.
Do we need to, what's the timing on this? Like,
Sooner the better.
anytime we,
People want to play pickleball. Yeah.
The sooner the better.
I mean, are we ready to vote on this?
It says discussion.
Do we want to
I mean, can
recommend
we-
it, or?
Yeah, I'm fine with recommending it if we can find just
Yeah,
find the money for it.
recommend moving it to the next council meeting?
Yep. Do you want an itemized list, just emailed prior to the?
I
to that
think, and if
council
we're
meeting?
going to a council meeting or whatever, yeah, as soon as you can get the itemized,
Okay.
send it out. And I think with the packet, when we go to council, we should have the itemization and,
And can you show, like, when that goes to all council, like, where that money is actually coming
Coming from, yeah.
from? Just so that we don't get questions on that. Or that we can answer intelligently.
And, you know, maybe just, you know, figure out if that 10 o'clock works with the residents around there with the noise. I think it'll be all right, but.
I mean, we haven't had any issues with like basketball, or have we?
No, actually, we
No, it's a
haven't. You know,
different
every time
noise.
somebody asks me, I know the pickleball and the noise is an issue. And every time somebody brings it up, I'm like, oh, we actually have been very lucky. It has not been an issue for us.
That's great.
But again, we are in a neighborhood.
Right.
So we would want to be friendly to our neighbors, and if at 10 o'clock, which I understand, I've got kids, I understand, 10 o'clock's too late, then we back it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't foresee that being a problem, because it's still, in the winter months, longer months, I mean, there's
I mean,
still
are
some good
people out
play.
there-
Like right now, during the winter months, you have to stop playing at 5 o'clock, because
Right.
Yeah.
Are there
You
people
know.
out there until 10?
on tennis and basketball, they're, yeah,
Really?
at times,
Okay.
yes.
That's impressive. I'm not out there at 10 o'clock.
Me
Nope.
Okay. Last thing.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you. When's the playground? I know we're waiting on a piece, but do we know playground? Is
So
it-
they haven't changed the timeline, it's still projected to be end of April. But we
Easter?
do have, fingers crossed for Easter, but, you know, we're doing our best. But they do have, the toddler house is installed and the 5 to 12 piece is installed.
And can people use it now or no?
No, because
not
we don't have
until-
the safety surfacing.
Okay.
And they can't do the surfacing until that third piece is installed. So they're doing everything up into, so today, tomorrow, if the rain last night didn't mess them up, they will be pouring the concrete border and form that's needed for the surfacing. So we're doing everything we can while we're waiting on that last piece.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, the Waterway Boulevard.
Yeah, so we
Update.
still, we had a meeting scheduled for them Friday. They called and said, we're still having internal discussions, let us reschedule Monday. Called Monday, and it was the same thing, that they are having internal discussions, and they said they're going to be back with us as soon as they can. So we know that they are actively pursuing an option that would allow us to proceed. I just don't know that they've gotten comfortable with a scenario that would work for them. So we're waiting on them. I hope that we would have something from them last week, but.
What's Plan B, Douglas?
So if we cannot use the golf course area, our only option is to go back to the road right-of-way to provide a barrier. If we go to the road right-of-way, there's such a narrow strip of land between the edge of the right-of-way and the edge of the pavement that we cannot get the 7 feet of protection. So it goes back to being 6 feet of protection, which was the original plan. We can potentially get to 7 feet in certain areas, and we would certainly analyze if there was any benefit to doing that. In other words, along that entire stretch, there are 3 or 4 different drainage basins. It could be that we could protect, some of the basins to 7 and leaving others of the basins at 6. But we think they're all interconnected in the interior of the island. So we don't think that there would be a benefit to doing that, but it would take some deeper analysis. So, it would be really going back to the 6-foot protection plan.
And what is the timing? I mean, they're working out there right now.
Yeah.
If we're going to get this, it needs to be now-ish.
Yeah, well, they have indicated that, so we're meeting with the contractor as well, and the contractor has told us that they had initially planned on doing the bulk of this work on the front end of their project, but that they can shift the work to allow for this, to allow us to work it out. They can shift it towards the end of the project, and they have agreed to do that. They're doing that. So it's not now, but it's still, within the next couple of months, we need to have a definitive a definitive plan of what we're doing.
Can I ask, is it something we can have maybe for the workshop, just as a refresher or reminder, or what have you, just to ensure that we're all on the same page? I was thinking maybe, like, I remember we had that one schedule, and there was some confusion a little bit about where the numbers were and all. Can we have sort of a Plan A?
Cost numbers?
Well, it's more than just cost, it's sort of.
Yeah, cost also.
If Plan A is with Wild Dunes, I think Plan A is with Wild Dunes, it's, our cost, their cost, but it's the what's in, what's out. I think the what's in is we've got 7 feet.
What's in, what's out, yeah, in
Yeah,
terms
so-
of properties protected and
Yeah, and we have
elevation.
7 feet
yes.
versus 6 feet. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be too elaborate, but just, you got the what's in, what's out column, and on the left side, you got the Plan A, Plan B, and then it's what's in, what's out, and, what's in, what's out, and then the dollars associated with it. And then I think we've got the grant that's gonna cover, what, 900,000 of it.
Correct.
So then that tells us what's ours. And then Plan B is without Wild Dunes. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And then, as I recall, there was a Phase 2, Phase 3 that kind of we're not doing.
That's correct.
And it's going to be more money down the road if we want to do it for the future. I think we got to keep visibility on that so we don't lose sight and everybody thinks that, hey, once we do this, we're done.
That's correct.
So if we could just get maybe the Plan A, Plan B, Phase 2, Phase 3 without, what's
Yeah.
in, what's out, and the dollars, that would be.
Yeah, we have that
helpful.
pretty cleanly
Updated.
delineated because Plan A was our actual plan.
Yeah.
And then we pivoted to this plan. So, yeah, we have that, and we can certainly update it.
Maybe we'll present it at the workshop next
Yeah.
week or something.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it's, and
Yeah, and I
this is,
should
this is
have-
a little bit off topic, but it reminded me of this, is that the work that's actually being done out there, is it being done, I was told that the people living around there got some sort of notification that it's starting earlier than we typically allow construction. Do we know anything about this?
No, in terms of work
Yeah, like
hours?
hours and things like that?
No.
Because when I first heard about it, was kind of thinking that this was, a city project and Wild
Right.
Dunes, and now it's just Wild Dunes. I'm just curious if we're involved in that at all, and
Do you think they're
Feels
starting
like-
before our allowable start times?
that's what I was told.
Okay, I'll check on that.
So, and I don't know enough to really, that's just the rumor I've heard.
Yeah, okay. I can check on that.
Okay. But when it comes to trying to work out some sort of the internal discussions, I mean, we've done everything that we can do.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying, I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to convince, well, or I think we believe that they are not incurring any additional liabilities by allowing us to do work on their golf course. That's their holdup. That's what MAC has been talking to their attorney about, about that issue and about ways that they feel like, if they're concerned, what they could do what we could do to reduce that concern. So that is the entirety of the issue, is they feel like they potentially are incurring new liabilities that they don't need to accept.
Does some of it surround, okay, once the project's done, who's responsible for it in the future, and what if something happens on the future, or is that kind of?
No, I think that's clear. I think the concern is there are low properties adjacent that have always had water issues. The fear is if we do this project and they still have a low lot, which they would, and there's still water on that low lot, that they are then going to pursue the city and/or them being Wild Dunes, and that they feel like that's a concern and that's a liability that they don't feel like there's not an upside for them to cooperating, I guess, if they're concerned about that.
Makes sense.
From our standpoint, and we do know there are low lots there, but we are actually installing a drainage system to accept the water from those low lots. So, I mean, we believe that
Should be
by
helpful.
every measure, their storm drain events are going to be improved. In addition, we're creating a flood barrier that's going to stop the water from coming into their houses. So from kind of every measure from our perspective, we are certainly improving their drainage. So our opinion is we're not creating any new liabilities, but, you know, that's the discussions we're having. And I should have had a meeting with that group before the workshop, so we can, you know, we'll have an update in
Some
terms of where
direction.
we are there.
Okay, good.
All right. Last order of business, next meeting, Tuesday, May 6th. Anything happening on May 6th? I don't think so.
Work for you all?
The day after Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, yeah. It's all right. She'll be able to make it here by 9. Yep, 9 a.m. And since we are potentially going to ask the marina tenants and
Matt,
Matt, if that time needs to change,
I'll let you know.
I'd be amenable to that.
Okay,
Just let us, just keep us posted
Okay.
and let us know what works for them.
very good.
9 a.m. might be a little early for them.
That's true, yeah.
We have the
Could
full
be.
schedule of meetings that day, though. We have public safety at 11, just
Okay.
to be aware.
But we could do 10 theoretically,
Only if you want to talk for an hour.
10:30.
40 minutes, 45 minutes?
Just put it out there so you're aware.
We're trying.
of boundaries.
Okay, awesome.
Well, thank you, Nicole.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.